Good morning / good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. I'm going to do a video introducing the topic of trigonometry and possibly go into finding missing sides in right angle triangles using trigonometry. Now, I really need you to pay attention, I really need you to take notes, and I think potentially this is going to be a bit of a long one, so I'm all coffeeed up and ready to go. Now, remember, basic trigonometry, so sine, cosine and tangent, only works when we've got right angle triangles, just like Pythagoras. So you need to be very aware of that in the exam. Now, in a right angle triangle, we know that that's the hypotenuse, because it's opposite the right angle, and it's also going to be the longest side, you know that. But then, we have to label the other sides. And depending on the angle you're looking at, one would be the adjacent, one would be the opposite. So if I am looking at this angle here, which side is opposite that angle that I've marked? Is that one there? So that's going to be the opposite side, and then the one remaining must be the adjacent. Adjacent means next to. Well, like I said, if I've got a different right angle triangle, well, that's the hypotenuse, because hypotenuse, remember, always opposite the right angle. But if I am looking at this angle here now, which side is opposite angle Y? Well, it's going to be this one. So this would be the opposite one now, and the last one would be the adjacent. So you need to be very careful when labeling the sides of the triangle. That's the first step. Now, I'm pretty certain you remember from last year, but the sine of an angle is the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. The cosine is the opposite divided by the hypotenuse, and the tangent is the opposite side divided by the adjacent. And you need to know this, you need to memorize these three. All they are is the proportions of each side relative to another. So what I mean by that is, for instance, if I have, if I've got a right angle triangle and this angle was 30 degrees, this I know because I know, but you got your calculator. In your calculator, if you do sine 30 equals, it will tell you a half. So that means that the opposite divided by the hypotenuse has to be a half. So if this is 3, that must be 6. Opposite divided by hypotenuse has to be a half whenever I've got a 30-degree angle. So each angle has got its own sine, its own cosine, its own tangent. All right? And that's a helpful tool to find missing sides and missing angles. Okay. So, and just do the check, make sure you learn how to use your calculator. If you do sine, and then 30, and then equals, your answer should be a half. If it's not a half, then you're probably in the wrong setting, and you need to change the settings of your calculator. Make sure that at the top of the screen it says DEG for degrees, okay? Right, and then come in the formula triangles that I showed you last year, which I'm going to erase now. Make sure you've taken all the notes, pause the video, and let's move on. So I am probably going to do a couple of examples and leave it at that, and then get you some work to do. So these three formula triangles are going to be the most helpful tool that you're going to have in the exam to answer any trigonometry question. So remember, this is the SOHCAHTOA, so because sine is opposite divided by hypotenuse. Ka, because cosine is adjacent divided by hypotenuse. And TOA, because tangent is opposite divided by adjacent. You should write this in your book, nice and colourful. Make sure you remember SOHCAHTOA is quite easy. And we're going to use them. We're going to start easily by finding missing sides in right angled triangles. So, that's my right angled triangle. They're always going to have to tell you at least one angle if they want you to find a missing side. So let's say that's 40 degrees. And this is 3. And I want to find that side there. The first thing I need to do, always in these kind of questions, is label the sides. That's the angle that I know. This is going to be the hypotenuse. So they want me to find the hypotenuse. That's the opposite. And this is the adjacent. Okay, so I know the adjacent and I want to find the hypotenuse. So I need to think about my 3 formula triangles. Which one of the 3 links adjacent and hypotenuse? In which of the 3 formula triangles do the adjacent and the hypotenuse appear? Well, it's not that. It's got to be that one there, because I've got adjacent and hypotenuse. And this is the next bit. What am I trying to find? Trying to find the hypotenuse. So if I cover that, because that's what I'm trying to find, the hypotenuse, I've got A over C. Well, that means that the hypotenuse is going to be the adjacent divided by the cos of 40. Calculator. So you whack out your calculator. I need to make sure that I am in degrees, which I wasn't, so I need to check that. And then I'm going to do 3 divided by cos 40, and the answer is 3.92 rounded to 3 significant figures. So H is 3.92, and this is a perfectly answered exam question. Make sure you show that in the exam and your final answer correctly rounded. Okay? Again, make sure you pause, you rewind, you watch again, take notes. I'm going to do one more example and leave it at that because I've been talking for over 8 minutes now. So, okay, this is my right angle triangle. I've got an angle, I know a side. First thing we need to do, label the sides. You got that right? Hypotenuse, always opposite the right angle. X is opposite the angle, I've been told, so this must be the opposite side. And 6 is the adjacent. So decision time again. Which formula triangle am I going to use to find the missing side? Well. I know the adjacent, they want me to find the opposite. So which formula triangle of the 3 shows the adjacent and the opposite? Is this one, is the tan. Okay, what am I trying to find? I'm trying to find the opposite. So this time, I cover up the opposite, and what I get is these 2 things next to each other. Well, that means that I've got to multiply them together. So the opposite of x, because I've called it x, is going to be tan 50 times 6. So sometimes you're going to multiply, sometimes you're going to have to divide. So don't try to learn a rule, oh, when is this? No, just use your brain, use the formula triangles to figure out when we are multiplying, when we are dividing, okay? And then, calculator again, just for completeness. X is going to equal tan 50 multiplied by 6. So my calculator, tan 50 equals 1 point something or other times 6 is 7.15 rounded to 3 significant figures. So x equals 7.15, and it would have been centimeters, meters, whatever it was. Okay. Make sure you can get this answer in your calculator, you know how to use it properly and correctly. And for now, that's all I wanted to say about trigonometry and how to find missing sides using basic trigonometry. Now, practice, 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 okay? As usual, I believe in you. Don't fail me. See you soon.